Welcome to week 11 of our FBU Huddle season. It has been an exciting one. We've got a few more weeks left, but man, we had 3 camps this weekend. Let's do a little recap on them, man. How we feeling today?
I'm feeling good, Joe. Ready to recap what we did this past weekend in the DMV and out in Sin City. Let's get into it.
Let's go right into Richmond camp. Obviously, I had the pleasure of being the head coach there, Matt. You were on site. You know, we were able to really get some really good talent there in the greater Richmond area. First time we were ever there, hosting a regional camp. And I always like starting with the top. So let's go right into the middle school G Award down in Richmond.
Yeah, I mean, Richmond was loaded with talent. Great job there by the local market. I think we were very surprised at the immense amount of talent. And it starts right here with Benjamin Street, electric wide receiver throughout the entire camp period, Joe. I mean, you saw him in one-on-ones and in 7-on-7. The kid was unstoppable. I mean, nobody could cover him, right, Joe? I mean, he just was uncoverable.
He ran great routes, great competitor. Like there's times I'm like, told the buddy, just take it down a little bit. We're working, fundamentals here, things like that. But man, he was on fire. He brought it every snap, every rep that he could get out there. He was great.
And then you got the high school G Award winner. You got Big Koa. I know we had a debate there. There was 2 really strong linebackers out there, Joe, from what we can recall and what we saw that dominated all day long. But, something about Koa's leadership. I mean, gosh, he had thighs as big as a dang truck, Joe. I mean, he was a massive mountain of a man, but Big Koa was somebody that impressed. Didn't you think for a 2022 graduate?
No doubt, man. And watching him on 7-on-7, he had great. He was able to cover both sides of the ball as far as whether if it went, to the right, to the left, between the hashes. He did a great job and a great leader too, pumping the guys up. He was the Mike linebacker calling out the assignments and making sure everybody was lined up. So I'm impressed with him. He's got a solid future at the next level. I think he'll probably put on another 10 pounds, and he's going to be, just a house back there in the midway.
2 worthy MVPs, Joe, that's for sure. But, let us not forget our Combine Award winners. I mean, we punched a couple tickets in Richmond this week. If you haven't been to a camp, we got 8 regional camps remaining in the season. Come try to punch your ticket or at least get to Top Gun to try to get your golden ticket there. I mean, look at these young men. I mean, obviously a great deal of talent, but I want to highlight the man furthest to the left, Joe. He made the play of the day, J-Ron Lawrence with the one-handed grab. Unbelievable grab.
I mean, unfortunately, we didn't have the cameras rolling when that play went on, but man, I think it was actually one of the first plays of our 7-on-7, and man, he just went up there and just snagged it. It was unbelievable because the corner was covering with some decent coverage, man. He just ran up and grabbed it.
High quality character, young man too. I mean, but also just want to comment, here on these combine, Elijah Brooks, Cameron Riley, Donovan Grayson. Looking forward to seeing all of them down in San Antonio, but we saved the best for last, didn't we, Joe?
We do. Well, we still got our all-camp team. We'll talk about those guys in a second. But the one we really want to highlight is this young man. Hear it now. You remember when we decided Gideon Davidson, man. This kid is the deal. He is the real deal.
Remember the name, folks. Like Joe just said, remember the name. He walked up. I asked him what grade he was in. Shoot, I thought he was a senior, Joe. He was cut up. 6 foot, 185, easy. Ran a 4.540 while he was there. Verified, laser time. Joey reminded me of Boobie Miles. Like I was watching Friday Night Lights. The way that he ran, the way that he cut. Amazing story. He's actually from Ghana, Joe, and we're just so thrilled to have him down in the Paradise Coast for the FBU Freshman All-American Bowl. Wherever he ends up playing down there, whether it's running back, wide receiver, he's going to be a force.
No question. He brings me back memories of Sonny Michel when he's coming out of that freshman All-American Bowl game with his smoothness. He had some great cuts in our inside zone drill that were just like, boom, almost knocked me over, and I was 20 yards away just in the pure explosiveness that he had down there. So I'm excited to see what he can do on a national stage, not only at Top Gun, but also at the Paradise Coast in Naples, Florida. But again, those are some of the core guys, but there was some great talent coming out of Richmond. When we look at our high school all camp team, Matt, there's a lot of talent that was there. I want to showcase these guys right here. We had quite a few. Again, our first camp down there, we had kids from all over the area, not only from Richmond area, other outside of Virginia area, kids in Pennsylvania that came in. So there's a lot of talent on this team, and I was pretty impressed for first year Richmond camp. Very impressed with a lot of our high school talent here.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Willie Lawson, Joshua Donnell, Connor Jones, Mason Dingus, Jalen Boyd. I mean, a lot of those young men there, just very impressive throughout the day from the high school level. I'm with you, Joe. Was an impressive crop of freshmen, but as we kind of move forward, I was just as impressed with the middle school all camp team that was there as well. I thought that our team director there, Dave Bickle, who spearheads FBU Team Richmond there in Virginia, just did a fantastic job. You saw FBU Team Richmond out there in full force. The coaching staff was out there. Some returning players. They found some new players, somebody to certainly put on the radar, not only for the future in terms of recruiting, but definitely for the 8th grade team in the FBU National Championship is Landon Snyder, a heck of a linebacker from Richmond, Virginia. Just was a big-time player throughout the day. Obviously, Richie Bickle, big up front with the O-line. And then finally, somebody that we didn't mention is Caleb Williams, Joe. That was the rising 9th grader, defensive lineman, offensive lineman, probably hasn't figured it out yet, but he's a mammoth as a man at 6'5.5", 230. But just some great talent. I want to say thank you to Dave Bickle. They did a fantastic job, Joe.
He did. It was great support by him and his coaches, and we greatly appreciated everything that he did to make that camp a success down there in our first year in Richmond. So with that said, Matt, let's go and let's look at our Baltimore and see what.
Yeah, let's take it up the DMV pipeline.
Yeah, just went up north and looked at up 95 and into Baltimore. We've got some great tradition, so let's chat about them. So Matt, again, we had the pleasure of heading up north, about 2 hours away from the great city of Richmond, to the greater Baltimore area, where FBU has a tremendous tradition there. Whether it be the national championships the Team Maryland's popped out of, whether it be the All-Americans, both freshmen and formerly Army, now All-Americans on NBC, athletes that have come out there. Our good friend Chad Ricardo's out there. I mean, it's been a great historical thing there. We ended up, due to the COVID, actually ended up being in a nice little school there, Mount Carmel in Essex, Maryland. And I love Coach Red. I want to thank him for his support. I think he's got a great vision there. But, man, we got some talent. There's a lot of talent coming out of the DMV that we're able to showcase a little bit this weekend.
Yeah, Devin Reed was not lying when he said about the talent. And Joe, as we kind of start talking about our award winners, starting with our middle school G Award winner, I said this at the camp, and I mean it. I think it may have been the most talented camp, not only that I've been to this year, that I've been to ever in my 5 years with FBU. This was an unbelievable talent. I mean, let's start with this guy right here, Joe. As we were kind of walking around and looking, we were going, who's the dog? Who's the dog? And the dog was an 8th grader.
Yeah.
His name was Jakai Hughes.
Yes.
And I don't care if he wore wristbands on his calves, on his head, on his pinky finger. It didn't matter to me because, man, he was way mature for his age, unbelievable with his technique. Had a little moxie to him, didn't he, Joe?
He did. Had that swagger. But you need that as a defensive player. You need that swagger, that little chip on your shoulder. And, man, he made it. He had a great pick early on, I think, in the morning session we had that was just like, oh, I'm going to talk to that kid a little bit. And talking to Coach Davis, who's a college coach, said, yeah, he's one of the top dogs in his defensive back group.
And it was fun to watch him go up against, when we were blessed with those moments, to go up against the high school G Award winner, Joe.
He did.
Makai Workman. I mean, talk about we used the word electric for Benjamin Street over at the Richmond camp, but this guy takes electricity to a new level, Joe. He was making plays all over the field, uncoverable, off the line of scrimmage. He had the full menu of moves when it comes to releases off the line of scrimmage. Not the tallest guy, but he could get up there and go snag the ball, couldn't he?
Very explosive off the line of scrimmage. Great in and out of his cuts. Had a great burst. He could find that fifth gear quick, and had good hands, good solid hands. Love the way he caught the ball outside of his body frame, and he's got a high end stock is high for Mr. Workman there.
Yeah, stock's real high. We're excited. He's one of the four that got an invite to the National Combine in San Antonio this coming January. And he's joined by these guys. I mean, and what a crop of guys. I mean, let's start with Raynard Duggar, the running back. Tim McKay's left. Probably my favorite player at the camp, Joe, and I know yours, from Bridgeport, Connecticut, but now in Maryland, the defensive back all the way to the right, Dante Lovett. Just
out of DeMatha High School. Yep.
Yeah, unbelievably smooth, really long, great patience and pace to how he plays defensive back. Really knows kind of, how and when to hit that next level. There's a reason he's already got a P5 offer from Boston College and being looked at. And then this big mountain of a man, this last guy here, Mr. Aladouge, Desmond Aladouge. Talk a little bit about him, Joe. You were there in the beginning.
I tell you what, as a defensive end, his reach is phenomenal. He did a great job in our competitive one-on-ones at the end of the camp, and kind of saved that defense, gave them some extra points towards the end of it. But no, he was very, very quick coming off the edge, had a great job, great initial punch coming off, and his reach, once he really utilizes that extension, he'll be a force to reckon with coming off the corner.
Yeah, he learns some more technique, and gets the proper coaching. He's going to be a problem at 6'5", 220. Excited to see him down at San Antonio. But let's talk about, we said, Joe, this was a talented camp, and might as well start here with the all-camp team. I mean, look, it was a talent-rich set of young men. You can obviously see Jakai there up in the front, but, good linemen with, I believe it was Jaden Atcherson was there, and you had quarterbacks like Brady Heiser, as well as Denzel Gardner in the fold. Probably, Joe, if I recall, two of the most impressive young middle schoolers were Kyle Lucas, the offensive lineman 2026, went from a size 11 to a size 14 in just 12 months. And the wide receiver Gavin Wu. Gavin Wu was consistently making plays. The 2025
we did not have a ton of receivers there in the middle school, but I love his grit. He kept going on and working on it. And then we got the two Carmack brothers, Mateo and Vincent, both there, both represented 1 year apart, 2025, 2026 class, one on offense, one on defense. Both punched their ticket to Naples this coming.
And remember the name Devin Reeves, folks. He was a heck of a player, at the middle school level. You could have mistaken him for a high school linebacker. And, speaking of high schoolers, let's bring that up. As you can see, we said it was a talent-rich camp, and we had an issue picking awards there. We like to do one, maybe two per position per grad class, but it was just impossible to do that in Baltimore. The talent was insane. Multiple student athletes who had P5 offers already or were getting P5 looks, and they came and balled out, Joe. I mean, they were there to get Top Gun invites. That was what I was hearing throughout the day, weren't you?
No question. I mean, look at the front row. They passed the eye test alone in biceps and just size. For a high school group, this is amazing. So there was a ton of great talent. I kind of really liked a little bit of Bryce Cox, great job at running back. Owen Doyle, Derek Dunn, Aiden Monroe, Jaden Paget. I mean, Kevin Randall. Just guys, Zabrai, Sandy. I mean, there's a ton of kids that were going. Elijah Williams again. I mean, just tons of guys that were coming in from all over the greater Maryland area and really had it. And one of our local kids there, say John Rice from Lady of our Mount Carmel home school right there, did a great job. TC Williams High, the home school of Remember the Titans, I believe. Sam Mako did a great job there too. So it was a great pool of high school talent there.
Joe, I think one last guy to call out is, and you can see him right there next to Desmond Aladouge, all the way to the left, is right next to him on a knee is Christian Osei Alfiani. He was the linebacker there that was making plays. So you're right, Joe. Just a ton of great talent, and excited to have Baltimore, back and rolling. I know Kevin Holmes is licking his chops to get going with the FBU National Championship, but hey, we got to take this road show out west. All right, and talk a little bit about FBU Las Vegas. It's not every day we're in the Sin City for a 2-day camp. So when we come back, we'll be talking about Las Vegas and recapping that.
You got it.
We're joined now by the man himself, the head coach of head coaches, the czar of the coaching staff for FBU regional camps, Anthony Williams. Anthony, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Matt. Thanks for the huge intro.
Well, look, you keep coming on. The intros are going to keep getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah. Is that what it takes? Okay.
Yeah, that's what it takes. We'll see you next week. All right. You might be the wizard. I don't know.
Yeah,
the
I don't
master.
know about all that, man.
We'll see how it goes. But Anthony, you were out in Las Vegas this past weekend with Eric Richards and the rest of the FBU Regional Camp staff. Sounds like we had a fantastic camp. Found a lot of student athletes out there over our 2-day model, obviously, which is a little different than our 1-day model. What were your initial impressions of the talent level and the overall camp out in Vegas?
First of all, I'm happy, and thanks for having me back on the show. But I was just happy it wasn't 115 degrees in Vegas. We had great weather. I think the highest it got was maybe 90, and we had a nice breeze. We didn't get any rain. And the venue was very nice. There was flag football going around in other fields around us, and soccer and stuff. So great venue. Love coming to Vegas. Saw a lot of great kids, and really appreciated the support the parents gave us. We were able to put on a really good camp in Vegas where we haven't been in about at least 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll obviously be coming back to Sin City in the future years. There's obviously great talent out there. We have an FBU National Championship Team Vegas out there, spearheaded by Mark Arredondo, and Jason Hale's now a guy that's coming in to provide additional support and strength to that market. But look, you said some of the talent. Let's start here with some of the middle school all-camp team, no sweat middle school all-camp team selections. Heard that middle school was a healthy and talented bunch out there. Any particular guys that caught your eye?
Yeah, there were a couple. You mentioned Mark Arredondo, our former FBU National Championship director. His son Jason looked the part. He's really starting to grow into his body. He's an offensive lineman, interior-wise. He's got good feet. He has good punch. He really impressed me after watching him compete at the national championship the last couple of years and seeing him now. He's going to be a very, very competitive high school lineman as he gets into high school here coming up. So I was really impressed by Jason. He's a class 25 lineman. I think the one kid that really impressed me was one of our DBs who played DB and a little linebacker, Isaiah Teo. Long, rangy, doesn't look like your typical 8th grader. He's a kid that we're keeping our eye on for the short list for the freshman All-American game. He showed great range. He showed great ball skills, picked up on the coverages really well, and really just, the defense, I'm glad to say, kind of really dominated this past weekend in Vegas. They really took it up another step in the afternoon in the 7-on-7 session, and he was a big part of that.
Well, glad to hear that, despite your nature to be leaning towards the D, you were able to mention Jason first and the lineman in there. Great to hear that Jason continues to develop, not surprised, but, shifting into, maybe kind of our high school guys. Anthony, obviously a talented bunch with Isaiah, Jason, and the rest of the all-camp team for middle school. What about at the high school level? Were there any guys that caught your eye and really stuck out?
Yeah, with me, and this, I'm always, as a former linebacker myself at each level, I'm always keep an eye on those guys. And there was a linebacker there that literally, Matt, he got better with each rep. During individuals, during one-on-ones, and during 7-on-7. He probably led the camp with PBUs and probably picks Sunday afternoon. Kid's name is Michael McCarty III. He's a 22 linebacker. He was impressive. He worked out with Coach Stanley there during the camp, and he just got better. You just see him in the beginning, he was a little nervous. I think he was, not used to playing in space. But as he continued to trust the development and the coaching he was getting from our linebacker coaches there, each one-on-one rep, if he made a mistake on one rep, he didn't make that same mistake for the rest of camp. Then going to 7-on-7, same thing. Doing the tackling drills, during the inside drill, he really separated himself as one of the best linebackers in the camp, and that's why he earned the high school no sweat all-camp team for the high school. Michael did a great job.
Well, look, if you're going to be the third, you got to be better than the first and the second. So I'm glad to hear that Michael had a great 2 days. That's the benefit of the 2-day camp. You have the opportunity to kind of, ease into it a little bit, right? Kind of dip your toes in that first practice, get comfortable. And by the time Sunday comes around, you're fully engaged, right? And everything that you learned on day 1, you can replicate in day 2. So moving on, look, we've talked about our high school all-camp team. We've talked about our middle school all-camp team, but, looking at who was the top dog, right? And here at the middle school level, we had a big-time player win the G Award. Talk a little bit about Mate.
Mate, big-time player, played DB. played a little corner, a little bit of safety. We didn't have a lot of DBs out there numbers wise, so he was able to showcase his skills at both. Once again, he has great feet. He has great eye progression. He understands man principles. He understands zone principles. Even at the end of camp, Matt, he was starting to bait some of the quarterbacks and making guys look like they were open, showing a big window, and he had great closing skill and definitely had a lot of PBUs and a couple of nice picks. The thing that I really noticed about him is he's also got really good range, tall kid, long arms, and if there was a 50-50 ball, I mean, he was going to win it. He literally would just out jump both his corner or defensive player with them and the offense guy, and got a lot of picks up high. So Matt Todd's he's got good hips, he's got good back pedal, he's coachable, he listens, he's kind of quiet, but he ain't gonna get beat. And so he really separated himself, which is why he earned the Gatorade G Award winner. This is a kid we want to keep our eye on also for the freshman All-American game. He really impressed me and Eric out in Vegas.
Not surprised. Definitely those guys that have that advanced mental aspect of the game, the ability to bait QBs into throws at a young age. You see them develop much more quickly. So moving on to high school here, we got a stud right here, Mr. Ali Jabaha Biamila. And if you know or remember that name, for those out there watching, Kabir used to be a former defensive end for the Green Bay Packers, had 75 sacks in his career. So it's in his bloodline. Anthony, talk to us a little bit about Ali's performance this past week.
You brought up the history there, and you can just tell that he comes from a family of athletes. He's not only impressive looking, but he's also a playmaker on the field. I mean, his size alone, when you're looking for those guys that are first off the bus, impressed just by the sheer dimensions physically, it's one thing. But then when he gets out there and he starts moving, he's very fluid. He learned really. We talked about it this weekend. He really understood how to use his hands to reroute receivers, and the concept of not letting receivers dictate where they wanted to run their routes at. So he understood the concept of don't get a holding penalty, don't get a PI, but just knock him off his route just enough to affect the time of the play. And he did that. And the times when the ball was thrown his way, he made plays. When it wasn't, the thing I love about him, the reason why he won the award, if the play was on the other side of the field, Matt, he was running it down. And we stressed heavily in the camp that if you want to be that big-time player, when the ball is thrown in any direction at you or away from you, you better flip your hips and you better be running towards the ball, because every college coach loves recruiting a player who's always around the ball. And I think the players really picked up on that, and Ali specifically. There are a couple of the old tip drill, Matt, where a couple of balls were tipped by a safety, and out of nowhere, you just saw this flash come up and just go ahead and high point the ball and take it to the end zone. And so Ali really impressed me with his presence, with his coachability, with his range and his size. And once again, you can definitely see the family genes taking over, because he was one of the most impressive looking kids there at the camp, and his game definitely showed that also.
Well, we're excited to have him down in the Paradise Coast for the FBU Top Gun Showcase, July 9th through 11th. He'll be a fantastic addition to an extremely talented crop of student athletes headed to Naples, Florida for that event. But last but not least, Anthony, we got to talk about that golden ticket.
Golden ticket.
Every FBU regional camp will be giving out another 200 of these down at Top Gun. Talk to us about our National Combine winners. I believe it was Chris Rice and Jaden House. They've punched it. They're going to San Antonio. Talk to us about these young men.
Yeah, both these young men were very impressive. Chris Rice, DB, class 23, was impressive. You look at the picture there, you can see his size. He's still got a lot of body to grow into, but long arms, long legs. The thing I loved about this kid was his grit and his ability to overcome adversity. It was kind of warm there for some of the kids who weren't from Vegas. He started cramping throughout the camp on the second day. We told him, hey, you've already impressed us. You take some reps off, and he just wasn't having it. He'd go over and see the trainer, and I look up 2 minutes later, and he was right back getting reps, making plays. And so I was very impressed with Chris and his ability to overcome, showing him no toughness, overcoming even cramps out there. Eventually, we did shut him down and say, hey, we've seen enough. You're going to get an invite. You go ahead and take it easy. And he's like, Coach, no, that's not what I'm here for. He's got that dog mentality that you want. He's a lab rat, technician. He shows passion for playing the game. You've heard me at many camps talk about, the game gets harder the higher you get. You better love it, because it gets harder. It doesn't get more fun. It becomes less fun and more work. And Chris Rice just looks like he loves playing football. It's contagious, and it really fed the entire defense, which led to them. Did I mention the defense dominated this weekend? Because they did. But anyway, Chris was a big part of that. So Chris Rice will definitely be somebody to keep an eye on down in San Antonio when we get down to the combine. He did a really good job this weekend.
And how about Jaden?
Jaden. So Jaden's is a defensive end. Jaden is a monster. He's a terror coming off the edge. Jaden's got good size. He's got a tremendously explosive first step. The only thing I had to keep an eye on for Jaden when we were doing the best on best O-line, D-line showcase, and even in some of the one-on-one drills during 7-on-7, he lines up like right on the edge of being offsides. I mean, because he wants to get that advantage, that edge every time. He's already got an explosive first step, but he's looking to gain any inch possible. Once he learned not to be offsides, I mean, this kid, besides having great physical ability and a great first step, his motor runs hot. He really learned from Coach Michael Cosgrove, who coached D-line at the camp, all the different moves they put together. You know, a lot of kids came in, and you've seen this a lot, Matt. Kids want to come in and bull rush all the time. And we told them, guys, that may work good in the camp. We're not in full pads. You need to have a second, a third, and maybe even a fourth move. And something just clicked in Jaden, and he started using some of the moves that he was taught. He got the spin move. He had the dip going. He had a good lean. He's really athletic and really explosive with his lower body. And so I'm going to be very happy to see him compete down in San Antonio. Jaden House is going to be a name that a lot of college coaches should be aware of going forward.
Well, if Jaden's biggest issue is learning how to not be offsides, I think he's got a good chance to be successful. Right. You can teach him that, Anthony. But look, I appreciate you stopping by today and giving us a debrief of the Las Vegas camp. Where are you at this weekend, Anthony? Are you on the road again?
Yep, heading down to SoCal, heading back home to my home state. Going to be looking at a lot of good talent down in the Los Angeles area. We'll probably be picking up some kids from San Diego, and there's so much talent down that area that I think we're going to find some more gems. It's good to be on the West Coast and start to expand our brand on the West Coast, especially post-pandemic. But I'm fully expecting to see a lot of tremendous talent in that LA area this weekend.
100%. Well, safe travels out there and enjoy the time in Southern California and find some studs and coach them up.
All right, man. Look forward to being on the show next time.
All right. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, Matt.
Nice.
Matt, that was a great recap of week 11 on our FBU seasonal camp schedule. Obviously, we've got a lot of guys who are starting to shift towards Top Gun, whether it be, obviously the invites, the signups, and even though we've got 6 more weeks of camps to go, which I'm certainly excited about it because now we're really getting up into my neck of the woods. But I tell you what, we've already got some top commits to already the Top Gun. We've got some great guys that are going to be rolling in here. Let's talk a little bit about, Dante Lovett.
Yeah, Dante Lovett. We just talked about him from Baltimore. He's committed, coming down to Top Gun. One of the top players in the country at his grad class. I mean, then you got, believe the big D lineman, right, Joe? Look no further than a bigger name coming down to Top Gun than Davie Belfort, FBU freshman All-American selection for this coming December. So excited that we've got an FBU freshman All-American, future player coming down to compete. He'll be joined, I believe, by, there he is. There's the big mountain of a man, 2022, Vincent Anthony, heck of a player. We found him in Charlotte at our regional camps this year. And then finally, another stud student athlete. Davie will be spinning the ball to this young man. We keep showing pictures of Davie. I know he's got, he's got the great flow. He's got the great lettuce. I get it. But there he is.
There it is.
Winston Watkins Jr., 2025 wide receiver, probably catching some touchdowns from Davie at the FBU Freshman All-American Bowl this coming December. And you're wondering that last name, Watkins. Yes, there is a relation to NFL star Sammy Watkins, currently with the Baltimore Ravens. So, Joe, what's the best way for these kids to get an invite and punch their ticket to the Top Gun Showcase? Well, say it loud so they can hear it in the back.
You got to roll out to an FBU regional camp. I mean, we want to be able to see you. We want to be able to evaluate you. We know what the level of competition is going to be at Top Gun. We want to make sure you're prepared before we give you that invite, because I always talk about this. The regional camp is all about technique development. Now, when you go to Top Gun, it's how good is your technique under the pressure of competition on a national stage. So that is the best way. Now, there is a subtle other way. If an FBU regional camp is not in your market, you can go to footballuniversity.org, go to our Top Gun page, and there is a nomination form where you can go in and nominate yourself, but it's a little bit of a difficult and a little more strict.
It's hard.
Yeah, a little bit tougher invite, because now we got to analyze your film. We got to do some other different steps. but the best way is for have our eyes, our FBU coaches evaluate you in person and let us see firsthand how good you really are.
Yeah, we got 8 camps left. Get out to a camp. We'll be in LA this weekend, Boston the following weekend for a 2-day camp, while we're also in Sacramento. So, finishing things up on the West Coast. And then we'll end things, Joe, like you said, with doing some at-large nominations at footballuniversity.org on the Top Gun page. But I couldn't be more excited for Week 12 out in LA, West Coast, Best Coast. The king himself, Eric Richards, going out there. Going to say what up to our main man, my main man, in the words of Chad Ricardo, Freddie Ortega. We're going to have a good time out there at Mission Viejo High School. But, Joe, it's a pleasure as always. Look, these weekly huddles, I need them in my life, Joe.
It's great, man. I love recapping. I love sharing with all the great talent we've discovered at one of our regional FBU camps. And then now we're just going to keep piling more and more. And I will, Matt, I won't see you. I will see you at Top Gun, right? I'm not going to – you're not on my path.
Yeah, they're parting is such sweet sorrow, Joe, and they're going to keep us away for a full 5 weeks. It was too powerful of a connection in the DMV. They couldn't handle it. So, but best of luck to you in Boston next week. I know we'll talk on next week's FBU Huddle, Joe. I appreciate it. And all you viewers at home, we'll see you next week. Get to an FBU camp now.
See y'all.